Hey there, everybody. Welcome in. It is Buccaneer Insider. We are back. I don't know what week this is. I've completely forgotten. Six, 7, 5, whatever it is. We're back. It's Thursday. We know that much. Killian McClatchy, Nicholas Case. We're glad to have you all back in here. And again, we got a really good week. Two really good guests coming up today. And the first one we got the head basketball coach for the women's team, Fred Applin. Fred is a treat to talk to all the time. And if you want to hear Michael Jordan stories, or you just want to hear, or really if you just want to hear who's in his phone, he's the guy you go talk to.
Dropping names like it's nothing.
Just everywhere, left and right, Fred Applin. That's perfect way to put it. It was awesome getting to talk to him and catch up with him. So we've got him coming up. And then we also got to chat with the softball coach, Venus Taylor, and it was really tough situation for her and her team, who were really starting to hit their stride, winning a lot of softball games down the stretch before everything happened. And so we had to catch up with her, kind of how the team's handling it, and just everything that her and her team's been going through.
And from a professional standpoint, I felt bad because all the softball broadcasts were backloaded. We were just getting to the bulk of our softball broadcasts. So we got maybe 4 on, and that was it. And that's my job at work, is to put on broadcasts. That's why we work together so well. And, obviously it wasn't my fault. It was nobody's fault, but I felt like they were cheated, and I felt bad about that.
They certainly were. And then it was a great conversation, and Venus and hopefully that entire team, we wish them the best, everybody in those spring sports. It's a tough situation, but it seems like they're definitely starting to try and flip the page over and look forward to the next one. And so we've got her coming on a little bit later on the show, and we get ready. Before we get to Fred Applin, though, and get started, don't forget, presenting sponsor East Bay Deli. Special thanks to them. Don't forget, you can pick up, carry out, delivery. Go and check them out. I actually had East Bay for lunch yesterday. Great spot. And you can go and check them out, East Bay Deli. But without further ado, we'll get to the head coach for the women's basketball team, Fred Applin. We got our first guest for this week, the head coach for the women's basketball team, Fred Applin, joining us. And Fred, glad to have you on here. I know we talked to Dion Craig, your assistant, the other week, so we're now getting to you.
Hey, I appreciate you guys inviting me, having on. I've listened to the last 2 you guys have done, and it's been great. So I appreciate inviting me.
No, that means a lot. Seriously. You see the numbers count, but you never know if it's just bots or my mom watching repeatedly. So it's nice to hear other people watching.
It's always great. You did a great job. I think a lot of our recruits are watching this, and parents of our players are watching. Our players are, commenting on, hey, that was a great interview. So you're doing a great job.
No, thanks. Well, thanks for coming on, and we appreciate it. We'll see you later.
All right, we're done now.
I think it's especially the way that we've been doing it. Just kind of catching up to start off at least. So what have you been up to these last, couple months?
Well, it's been kind of crazy. I've never been in this situation before. So the recruiting part of it, it's big for us right now. Our staff have been on Zoom calls. We've been on Zoom calls with our players weekly, checking in on them, making sure they're okay, but also making sure their parents and their family members are okay. So we're trying to stay in touch with everybody. And I think the Zoom has really helped a lot of teams, but it's also helped our team just to understand that we care about them. I preach about family all the time, so I want to make sure they're all doing great.
Yeah, what's it been like staying at home pretty consistently for a while?
At first, it was kind of weird, just being at home. But my wife's a school teacher, so she's upstairs, I'm downstairs, so I don't interfere with her when she's doing her lessons. So I've gotten used to it. I could adapt to anything. But I think the part of this is the recruiting part has kind of changed. It's gone back to old school, the way we used to watch videos all the time, kids sending them in. So that's been a blessing for me to sit back and get emails from recruits, from the AAU coaches, and our staff putting recruits in front of me and saying, hey, coach, watch this video, and what do you think of this kid? So I think the landscape of recruiting has changed a lot for the last 3 months. It may change all the way up until August.
We'll skip any discussion on budget cuts. Do you think something like this and how it changes recruiting will alter the way some people go out and recruit going forward, or do you think the in-person face-to-face thing is still preferred, or do you think there's going to be kind of a happy medium?
I think it's going to equal out. You always get video on players, so you always watch them, but you also want to watch them, in the gym with their AAU team, the high school team. And the part of that is you have different high school teams. Their styles are different from the AAU, so you get to see two looks. Maybe a AAU coach, they don't want them to shoot as much, but when they get in high school, their high school coach is telling them, hey, I want you to shoot every single time. I want you to play pressure defense, and we want to run the court 94 feet. So I like seeing kids on the court, but this summer, I don't think that's going to happen. So we're leaning towards video.
And so when it comes to the recruiting aspect, I mean, we'll get into it a little bit later on just about your coaching career, and you've been a phenomenal recruiter throughout your career. But what's kind of been the biggest differences is, you've been around for a little while from you mentioned kind of the old school style of recruiting. What are kind of some of the biggest differences you've realized from then versus now?
Well, I think now you have so many camps to go to in the summer. There may be over, say, 100 basketball camps from June, July that you can go to. But I think that's some of the big things that you've got to – it's different in old school. When it first started, there were probably like 5 camps you went to. And those 5 camps were solid. Everybody went to those camps. I'll give you a good example. AAU basketball started like June the 28th and went to July 4th, or June 25th to July 4th. Every team went to that. You had to qualify. So every coach in America was there. Now AAU, it's not that important to some of these AAU coaches and high school coaches. They want to send them to the elite camps, maybe a Blue Star camp, or just different camps. So now you're following the USJNs. You're going down to Atlanta. You're going to Chicago. You're going to Indianapolis. So there's a lot of camps that you're going to now. It's probably, I would say, maybe over 100 camps in the summertime.
At a time like this, does this change your approach to like JUCO transfers because there's a little more film on them, or do you still focus on high school and spread it across?
Excuse me one second. We recruit JUCOs, and we that's probably part that we've gotten more into the last probably 2 or 3 years. So you get films on those JUCO players just like you do in high school. The good thing about it now, synergy. You can get film after the game, 24 hours on a JUCO, or someone's playing overseas. You can get that video within 24 hours now. Before, you had to mail it. You had to wait several days for it to get there. And that's old school. Old school used to exchange tapes. I'll meet you and at a certain point and exchange tapes on kids, and also basketball games. That's the way it used to be. So now it's more, you get everything instantly within 24 hours.
And so kind of full circle with what's been going on, what's been the biggest challenge for you as the head coach, just being away from the team? Like what has made it so difficult for you?
I miss our team. I miss having them come up to the office and just checking in and see how their day is going. If they had a great day, they passed the test. They got 100 on it. They were expecting to get a 80 or something on it, and they passed it and got a 90 or 100. Just going to the cafeteria, eating with them, just seeing how the family's doing. I think interacting with our staff, just making sure everybody's okay. We're all on the same page, and we're trying to advance and be better every day. So I kind of miss that, just one-on-one with them and hands-on with them. That's something, that's used, but Zoom has helped it. I think our players love seeing our faces and just making sure, they're okay. Like they're checking on us going, hey, coach, is everything okay? And how are you guys doing?
Have you guys been, I know we kind of mentioned a little bit to Dion, but what is what is kind of the workout regimen that you guys have been working on? Because, luckily for you, basketball, it's a sport that as long as you've got a hoop and a ball, you can kind of go out and work on some stuff, but obviously there's no coaching there.
There is the NCAA, they're coming up with different ways we can work with our players, and that's something that we're working with our compliance people. Once they get it, we get that information. But our strength conditioning coaches are working with our players, making sure they're staying in shape. The one thing is they did a plan that they don't have to go to the gym. A lot of the gyms were closed. So right now they had a plan that they maybe go out and run a couple of miles, do just different things to make sure they're in shape when they come back.
So we'll kind of go back to, the whole recruiting aspect and just your career. You've been around for a while, and really recruiting has kind of been, your main focus and the main place that you've really excelled at throughout your career. And looking back at it, you recruited a couple of players that ultimately went on to play professionally, play in the WNBA. What's it like to kind of sit back as a coach now and go, wow, I was kind of involved in that, and I kind of helped get that player to where she is now?
A lot of work. It's rewarding when you see players that come in and their ultimate goal is to make the WNBA or play overseas. I've had several kids that, hey, coach, I do not want to play after the 4 years, and then turn around the last year, coach, I want to play overseas and get drafted. So it's something that you cherish, but they get to tell their kids, and their kids get to tell their kids, hey, my mom played in WNBA, my mom played overseas. So it's really important, and it's very few are chosen to play in the WNBA. So you've got to, give it to them, the props to them, and it's something exciting when you see they're getting drafted.
So is there any particular player that you remember recruiting that you kind of, that it's gotten to a certain point that you kind of look back and you go, man, like, wow, I can't believe that I found her, or, was able to be involved in that process and that journey?
Oh, I've recruited some great players. I mean, I would probably start with, at North Carolina with Charlotte Smith and Sylvia Crawley. I think they came in as freshmen, and they came in determined to win, determined to set the standards high. And I was actually looking at some photos I'm going to send them when they played in the ABL, which is the first professional league. I think the second professional league in the United States. And they played with them. And I remember me and Tony Montgomery, my assistant coach at that time, we went up and surprised them. And it was something that you never cherish when you go back and look at those pictures. I tell you, it's very few are chosen to be in the WNBA like the NFL. There are many that play the sport, but very few get that opportunity to play for a long time. So I would say probably Charlotte Smith and Sylvia Crawley is probably one. And then I would say at Texas is Dwayna Brown, who's actually National Player of the Year. She had a chance to play in the WNBA. But I've had several that done it. Ty Dillard at Texas, and Stacey Stevens at Texas. So a lot of them were places I've been. They were played in WNBA or they played in overseas, and we've had several here. Most recently at Charleston Southern that play overseas. Elise Kiplotz is still playing over there. Aaron Brancher was the first one in my class that I was here that had a chance to play overseas. So I think that's really important. And Kiki Jackson just signed a contract to play. So you hope, in the fall, those things happen. I was talking to Elise 2 days ago about it, and she's pretty excited about it. But right now, she's just staying in shape.
That's good. I know you mentioned UNC, and there was a decently large documentary that just finished up the other day, and I know that Nick can definitely attest to it. Yeah, huge. Nick can definitely attest to it. You're a pretty big Jordan guy, and you've got a couple Jordan kind of stories. What you got any for us right now?
Well, I tell you, it's I've kind of it's been a blessing for me. Where I grew up in a small town called Roseboro, North Carolina. Wilmington's only 40 minutes away. And I told my players 2 years ago about Dominique Wilkins. I'll get back to Jordan, but they were like, yeah, sure, coach. Yeah, you played against them, da-da-da. So we had a chance to take them to the Atlanta Hawks game. And guess who walks down? It's Dominique Wilkins. And he sees me, I see him. I say, hey, he goes, how you been doing? We hadn't seen each other in a long time. Even his brother Jurl asked what he was. He was in the gym too, in the arena. So they came over, and he took pictures with them. They were like, Coach, you were telling the truth, Morgan. Yes, yes. We used to play basketball all the time. He's from Lowell, Washington. My family members lived there, so we used to play. And then Wilmington, everybody would just get together and play basketball. So probably my story with Jordan is just, I remember it was, I think, right before the championship in '82. I was at Elon at that time. And a couple of us, actually 2 people from Wilmington, that were good friends of mine, and we drove up to Chapel Hill and just hung out with Michael and Buzz Peterson in his room. And he was surprised to see all 3 of us because he knew all 3 of us. I didn't know Buzz at the time, became friends with Buzz. Till this day, we're all still friends. But that was probably the big one, surprising him and just hanging out with him for that whole night, and then driving back to Elon next day. And me and Willis Dingle, we talk about that sometimes. Hey, remember time we drove up there? So it was kind of a blessing, but being coaching at North Carolina, I had the opportunity to also go back and see a lot of those players when I was coaching there.
And so I'm sure, I would assume that you watched the documentary, did you?
Oh yes, watch it. And matter of fact, I taped it and watched it again. And I kind of lived through that. I would go up to Chicago, and the first game of the year was always Chicago Bulls and 76ers, exhibition. I would always go to that first game. Scott Williams happened to be on our team one year, and Michael would leave tickets. And so I would always go to those first games and enjoy it. But the documentary, man, it's like, hey, I remember that. I remember this, lived through that. I have actually VHS tapes of probably all the games that I would go and just record, and I need to convert them to DVD, but probably half of the Chicago Bulls seasons for many years. I know they're somewhere in my garage, but I do have those.
Was there any moment, I know at least for somebody at least my age, I obviously didn't get the opportunity to live through it and watching back. It's kind of just incredible to see it all, and you can obviously look up the YouTube videos and look at the stats and all the numbers and be, wow, this guy was absolutely incredible. But for somebody like you who lived through it, you knew him, what was it like kind of sitting back and going, wow, like I saw all this, like this all happened in front of me?
It was kind of neat. It first started with my brother, who was a college coach. Him and Mitch Kupchak were very good friends. So that probably I was like 10, 11. I got introduced to the Tar Heel family there because of Mitch Kupchak, my brother's relationship. Mitch played that. They're both I grew up in New York, moved to North Carolina, but my brother and all the rest of my family stayed up there. So they became good friends for a long time. And when Mitch came to North Carolina, I went over there and introduced myself to him. So we became friends for a long time. But it's about some of the things I can tell you. I'm going to tell you one more story. I should have gone back to it. I remember walking in Woolen Gym. You would see Michael in there. You would see Kenny Smith. You would see Dave Popson. You would see Randy Will at that time playing. Ranzino Smith, Rick Fox, Pete Chilcutt. I can go on and on. You would see those guys in there playing. And it was like 8 courts in there. Well, the first 2 courts were reserved for the best. And I could just remember Lawrence Taylor walking in one day and, hey, I want to play. And you were shocked how good he was in basketball. Anytime you would go out, there was an outdoor park. You could see people from Duke coming over. You see people from Rodney Rogers lived in Durham. He would come over. You would see the ACC teams playing against each other in Woolen Gym or outside on the outside courts. And so I remember that's probably the best. But when you saw Michael, he was above everybody. Even in his prime, he would come back and play, and he could just play with the best.
So I think it's safe to say you are an MJ over LeBron guy.
I am an MJ guy. I grew up in that era. I'm not taking anything away from LeBron. LeBron is great, but I am an MJ guy. I could say I've seen things he's done personally affect the game. It's changed the game of basketball. Just like when Magic was the guy, he passed the torch on, and the same thing, with Michael passed it on. I think to Kobe, and Kobe, didn't get a chance to pass it to LeBron, but LeBron he's probably one of the greatest right now. I would have to say those are top 3 that I've seen. And I would probably think most of the young adults your age guys probably say Kobe, LeBron, Michael, so I would have to say Michael first.
You walk around and drop some names when you come and talk in the office. What's the biggest name in your phone right now? What's the person you could just text right now and they'd be like, oh, hey.
He's looking it up. No.
Yeah, he's looking. Oh no.
Yeah, we stay in touch for the last 20, 25 years, 26 years. Probably check on each other maybe once or twice a month, or just pick up the phone. He'll pick up the phone and call, hey, what you doing? Or I'll pick up the phone and call him, what's he doing? Which I know a lot of things he does is playing golf and relaxing with the family. So I would probably say that's probably one of them, but I've had many more in here. I've got to go with Buzz Peterson, Mitch Kupchak, a lot of Carolina guys. Kevin Durant has changed his number so many times, so I don't try to mess with him. But CP3, while I was at Wake Forest, was there. I have a lot of them. I try not to bother them unless, I'm in town or something, try to go to dinner with them, just check on them. So, but, probably Ken is probably the one that calls consistently, just seeing how everything's doing.
No, I hate to say this, but you dropped out for a second and you were muted. So we completely missed who the name was. We heard the golfing, we heard all that. What was the name again?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you, man.
Okay.
We caught back as you were talking about, how you'd catch up every time you're in town and all that, but we completely missed the name of who it was.
I'm sorry. I'll go back to it. It's Ken Griffey Jr.
Okay, see, that's what I thought. I figured that's who it was, but I just wanted to make sure.
It's Ken Griffey. Yeah, we stay in touch pretty regularly.
That's pretty cool.
He's done some great things. Even when the grandkids were born, he sent them balls and signed cards for them. So I've got to get one for Isaiah, who hasn't had one yet, but Charlie got one when he was born. And then my god kids in Texas, each one of them got one from him. So it's kind of neat just hanging out with him and going to lunch, going to dinner, hearing his stories, about traveling. And then we reconnected again when I was at Seattle. He had a chance to come back to Seattle and retire. So, and this is a good story. My twin sister decides to come visit me in Seattle. And she goes, "Hey, I want to go to a Seattle baseball game." So my boss at that time was Tia Jackson, knew the owner, who was a Duke grad. And she said, "Here, I got 2 tickets for you." Well, the tickets were right behind the home visitors team, 4 rows from the dugout. And we're sitting there. I had no clue that Ken had gotten back to Seattle. And he walks out, he turns around, he's in the batter circle, and he decides to call my name out. And we're sitting there talking before he's about to bat. And everybody's looking at me and my sister, and I'm going, "Ken, I'll call you later. You have a ball game to play." So that's probably one of the funniest stories with him. But my sister still laughs at that all the time now.
Do you remember what he did in that at bat?
He was doing that, walking out of the dugout, getting ready to go into the batter circle, and turned around, saw me, and we both saw each other. He said, "What are you doing there?" I said, "Well, I'm coaching at University of Washington." And he just smiled. I said, "Man, you got a game. Get out there and play." And he's that type of guy. He'll talk to anybody. He's almost like me. He'll sit down and talk to anyone.
That's what makes these conversations we have so special. Like you said, you come in, Dion comes in, all these people come into the office and just mingle. It's not like that at some of these schools. So that's why we're able to come in and get these stories, because we know, we're friendly. We don't feel like we're overstepping bounds and asking these things. Because
oh no, we're family, man. You guys are hilarious, and I love walking in the office. You always have something interesting to talk about.
I was gonna say, with Fred Applin, we might have to play a game next time and just go through his phone and then see who he doesn't know that's some sort of megastar at some point in their athletic career, it seems like.
Oh, I've been challenged on it many times. And I'm not going to mention any names because probably they're still embarrassed about it. But they were talking about doing a function for us. And I was like, "Hey, I can get this person." "Sure. Okay, whatever." So while they were talking, I dialed the phone and put the person on speakerphone. And I think they almost fainted. They were like, "You weren't kidding." I said, "No." I said, "That's, friends for friends to help out friends at different times." So, and that's the one thing I can tell you. I remember Charles Barkley having a bad rap of just being a mean guy. I've met him several times. He's one of the greatest guys that you could ever hang out with, sitting there talking. He loves talking about family and loves talking about women's basketball. So that's a great opportunity.
plus, it doesn't hurt to call these people up and say, "Hey, you want to come do something for me in Charleston, South Carolina?"
I've done that before. I've done that before. I go, "Hey, let's plan out this," and then somehow it didn't work out on our end. But yeah, I've done that before because I knew we had to do some fundraising stuff. So
I was just say, I think I've got one more with you. It kind of goes back. We asked Dion this question, and we asked him, if you could play one-on-one against anybody, who would it be? And he answered Shaq, didn't he, Nick?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So he answered Shaq. So we'll ask you the same question. Who would you want to play one-on-one with?
I would probably have to say, besides Michael, it would probably be Dr. J.
All right.
I would think Dr. J. It would be fun just playing with him and against him. And I would want to probably do it in Rutgers Park in New York. Me and him one-on-one in Rutgers Park. The history of that and him getting his nickname at Rutgers Park, I would probably say that's the person I would pick out.
I like it. Even the location, that's top notch.
Even the location. That's a dream place to play.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dion just went with Shaq, and Dion was just accepting he was going to get swatted back back to some other part of the country every single time he tried to drive to the lane.
Well, I would probably get dunked on every single time because Dr. J could just absolutely elevate, and his dunks were unbelievable at that time. So I would probably pick him. But I would enjoy it. Believe me, I would enjoy it. I wouldn't mind him dunking on me.
Every time he got dunked on, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. And I have somebody taking pictures frame by frame by frame, making a poster.
All right. Well, I don't know if you've got anything else for him, Nick. I think this was awesome getting to talk with you, Fred.
No, I've got nothing. It's good to see you again, Coach. Good to catch up with you.
Hey, thank you guys. I appreciate everything. Anything I can do to help you guys, you can always reach out to me. But yeah, one day we'll get down there. We'll go through my phone and see what we can pick out and call and harass. I love doing that too. So that'd be awesome.
Love it. Absolutely. Definitely.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a blessed day.
You too, Coach. Thank you.
Coach.
All right, bye.
That was the head basketball coach for the women's team, Fred Applin. Always a ton of fun to talk to Fred. I'm very much looking forward to seeing who he can pester in his phone. I don't know if pester is the right word. I don't know. Maybe we'll see if we can drop in and say hi to Ken Griffey Jr. something like that sometime.
He had that nugget about KD's number changing, and didn't KD have a bunch of the burner accounts? And I was just like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's true. The wheels started to turn there a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? Maybe Fred was playing us right there. Maybe he does have his real phone number. Maybe KD doesn't even know what his real phone number is.
Twist.
Well, again, special thanks to Fred coming on. Really great talking to him. Can't wait to be back on campus and hear more stories. Just talk some more with him as well. You got to remember, East Bay Deli, presenting sponsor. Special thanks to them. We get on to the second half of the show and our second interview, Venus Taylor. Welcome in. It's our second guest of this week. We have the head coach for the softball team, Venus Taylor, and welcome in. As kind of the tradition, I guess it seems, for Nick and myself is to just kind of see what's going on. How you been? What have you been up to these last couple of months?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I've been spending time with family and just really enjoying that. I've been somewhat of a middle school teacher now because my son's in 8th grade. So, with the e-learning and stuff at home, I got to kind of stay on him. And I have a whole new level of respect for the middle school teachers or any educator out there. And in addition to that, just a lot of prayer and reflection and, preparation, just trying to figure out, okay, how can I use this time wisely in the sense of, reaching out to the team, making sure they're okay, and making sure we kind of stay on pace and rebound from what happened. And then in addition, just keep them bought in and excited about what's to come.
Now, your season was interrupted by everything. How did you feel about it as the interruptions were beginning? And do you have any different feelings about it all now?
Yeah, sure. Initially, it was really tough because I felt like, like a lot of the players did as well. We just came off a 4-game winning streak, and we had won our last 7 out of 9 games, and we had a really great momentum going into the conference play. So we were really excited about that, and just kind of felt like everything got stripped from us, and there's a lot of hours and hard work that go into the process. And so when we get into the season, we know we're battle tested and we're ready to put all our preparation on the front line. And when we got stripped of that, it was a lot of disappointment, a lot of hurt, a lot of confusion, and just kind of like wondering where's this going to go. And I think a lot of the players felt frustrated simply because they're like, we put all that work in and then we didn't get to have a season. We didn't get to have a full season. We could have done so much. And now we're just trying to really just put it to rest and put closure on it. But yet, make sure that the players know and that we know that all those hours and all that hard work wasn't for nothing, and that it still stays at the deposit, like in our bank account, and that we get to carry that forward when we get back out on the field. And I think if anything, the players and the coaching staff and ourselves have talked a lot about just gratitude and, how really when we're in the moments in our season and just being around each other every day and being blessed to be at CSU and the athletes and being involved with the athletic program, we just want to remind ourselves that we still have so much to be grateful for, and that we have a lot to look forward to still.
And so you mentioned the team, how they were feeling. Obviously, they crushed. I mean, I can only imagine what it would be like. But do you feel that the energy towards it has started to move more towards kind of looking forward to next season? Because as a team, you guys, like you said, you guys were starting to hit. You guys were starting to fire on all cylinders, it seemed like, and especially what the program's been building over the last couple of years. It really looked like you could kind of start to see the tip of the iceberg there.
Yeah, I think that, we had a virtual meeting and we talked about it, because we knew, like, we can only control what we can control. And we knew that we had a lot to feel good about to carry into next year, so we still feel like we have momentum. But I know that the players, they needed to process it, they needed to go through some time. So we gave them some time. And then we talked about just kind of having, a day where we just put it to rest and we moved forward, because it's, like anything else, it's not going to help us to dwell in the past. And we really want to take all the momentum and energy we can and gratitude we can and just throw it into what's coming up for us. But I think the players are really excited because they know they're winners. They know that they were coming together, like you said, firing on all cylinders, and just, they're working hard, and I'm really proud of them. I mean, they've handled this really well. I think it's been very difficult, especially for seniors. My heart really goes out to the seniors. I know that a lot of the athletes get the opportunity to come back if they want to, but for those that graduated and stuff like that, I mean, it's just some of them don't get the redo, and that's who it just tugs on your heartstrings for all the players across the country and whatever sport they were in to have to go through that. But, we're lucky we're going to have Holly Clark back on the mound, and I think she's going to be a force to be reckoned with next year. And like I said, I think all of them just look at it like, hey, this can get taken from any point now. So I expect to see a renewed energy and a renewed level of gratitude and just an overall hungry approach to getting back out on the field.
How often have you been speaking to your players through all this?
I usually speak to them once a week or, a couple times a week, but we go a long time. We pretty much are just checking in, checking in on their mental health, checking in on their state of mind, and making sure that, a lot of athletes, when they go through something like this, they're used to structure and they're used to having something to work hard for. And so this time frame can be really hard on them, mentally. It can be a mental challenge. So we're really checking in on their health, and then we just started this last week to start preparing for next year. So with mental training and just, this upcoming week, we're going to actually do something fun, because we like to keep them engaged and bought in. So we're looking for fun exercises to do. So it's really just like I said, a check-in, staying bought in, staying connected, and things like that, and just talking about the excitement for when we get that connection.
So as a coaching staff, it's obviously a big difference in being in what would be right now, really kind of the closing up on the tail end of your season, really where these games would get really important, and shifting that mindset now to not playing and kind of going into an off-season mode. What have you guys as a coaching staff kind of been doing to plan for that? Because especially with softball and baseball, those throwing sports, you do want to try and give your players a little bit of time to rest, but right now they were just getting warmed up, and now you're trying to bring them back down.
Yeah, I mean, really right now all we can do is just provide them a recommended workout, and hopefully that they'll follow that. We're really not allowed at this point to, watch them, critique them, or anything else. So what we do is we give them a recommended workout, and like I said, we do our checkpoints with them, just checking in on their mental health and stuff like that. But it is different because now and we also just recommend, like, hey, do whatever you can to stay in a good place and to hone your skills. Whatever that is, whether it's throwing a ball against the garage, and just working on your glove work, whatever it is, just do whatever you can to feel good about honing your skills and staying ready. That's really all we can do right now.
And so another thing, kind of going more into the coaching staff, something it's rare in all of sports, especially in college sports, but especially in college softball. Everybody on your staff, they played Division I softball at one point or another. What kind of advantage do you feel that kind of gives you guys being there before?
Great advantage. I think it's like an instant level of respect from our players to our coaching staff, being able to say, hey, we understand, we've been there, we've worked hard, we know what you're going through, and we're really just here to be a part of your journey and to make you the best you can be. And I do believe that them knowing that we've gone through the process and that we've been there, done that, it just builds respect and it builds trust and things like that. And I'm really proud of that, that we've all played at that high level and that we're able to exemplify and be great role models and leaders for our players. And, it certainly isn't the same as it was when I played as it is now. So we're constantly all working together, just growing together. And, that's one thing that I also have worked on in this time is just, staff development plans and practice plans and things that we can do better when we get back, So it's, like I said, it's just kind of a reflection, but also a development time for planning. And I can't say enough about, Stevie and the job she's done, and Caitlin and Christina Biggerstaff. I mean, like when she came on, Anna has been named Pitcher of the Week, and that's a huge stride for our pitching staff. And in addition to that, I know it allows us, with her work, with us expanding our coaching staff, with having Caitlin on as a volunteer and working with the catchers. It's just expanded what we can do in our practices. It's like you have a coach at each sector, working on the game and really giving you the feedback you need. And I think it's really been a great mix of coaches, and I'm really pleased with who we have on staff, and I hope that the players are too. And I'm pretty sure they're getting what they need because we can break it down in different ways. We're sport specific and like specific with the catchers, specific with the pitchers, specific with the infielders, specific with the outfielders. Everybody hit. Well, not Christina, but pretty much everybody was a hitter. So we know what it's like to be in the box, and we know what it's like to have those mental challenges and those struggles and those roadblocks at times. So we're able to speak from that position, but still keep them in a positive state and just keep pushing them to be the best player they can be.
You mentioned kind of the the difference from when you played. It's been a little while since you played back in college, but the kind of the evolution of the sport. But the evolution of the sport, I mean, what have you seen change over from when you were playing to now being a coach and seeing what the girls are going through now?
Well, it just continues to get better. The platform, as far as the TV coverage, that's gotten huge. Like from the World Series to the coverage on TV for the conferences and things like that. So the platform's huge. And then in addition to that, it's now an Olympic sport again, and so that's exciting to have that back. But players just keep getting, bigger, stronger, better, faster. I mean, the game is so fast and so exciting that I think that's why people love fast pitch so much. Is that there's a lot of bang plays out there, but you're seeing female athletes jump over the fence and make catches, and bring them back in, and you're just seeing women kick balls like the MLB players do, and it's just the level of training has progressed so much, and it's made the game really, really exciting to watch. And because it is a little bit faster, I think once people tune into it, they're just hooked.
And so I've always had a question. This is just from the baseball, the softball lover in me. I played baseball, and one thing is, what do you look for in a third baseman on a softball team? Because personally, I can say that the only thing that terrifies me is watching a third baseman on a softball field just come casually walking on up towards the batter. And there has to be some sort of mentality that you look for in a third baseman that just nonchalantly can do that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you have to be gutsy and fearless to play that spot, So, I mean, we obviously look for players that are fearless and that have really good reactions. And obviously a strong arm because they're on the left side. So, and they got to be able to have good instincts because they got to be able to read the hands, and get that good quick start. Because if they're back and someone drops a bunt, and nowadays there's so many fast players in the 2-7 range, somebody drops a bunt, I mean, they got to be able to get in there, get it off, and make a play on a fast runner. So I look for somebody that has good instincts too, because it's a good quick first step. Because if they can get that good read off their hands and have a good quick first step with a strong arm, we really have a shot at getting that player out, even if they're one of the fastest players on the team.
That was always something I've always been. That was the one thing I've seen so many of these softball, especially at this D1 level, and I see these girls walking up. I say I'd never do that. Could never do it as long as I.
Yeah, it's tough.
I was always playing Little League. I was always terrified of being a pitcher for that ball coming back at me. So to be third baseman and that close to an even bigger ball coming even faster, no, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, same thing for pitchers. You know, I mean, they have to pitch a ball and then get ready for it to come off the bat. I mean, it happens so fast that I agree. The third baseman and the pitcher are probably the two positions where, you know, you might have a little bit more fear if you're not used to it, you know. But we do train them, especially our pitchers, to be able to be ready to react and to look up right away. So if they pitch the ball, you know, they know there's a good chance because they're all going to hang one at some point. I mean, we really work on the black, outside the black, and all that. But, you know, they're human. There's going to be a time where they either hang one or a really good hitter is going to hit a really good pitch right back at them anyways because they got around it a little bit too much. So, you know, we just want to make sure that they're prepared after they finish to look up and react. And you will see more face masks now from the pitchers. I think the bats, you know, over time have gotten better as well. So, you know, between being that close to the batter, the bat performance, and just the athletic strength and their bat speed, I mean, that combination, you just really got to be ready for it. So, you know, we just got to make sure that we scrimmage a lot, we work our pitchers a lot too, and like I said, our third baseman, so that when, you know, they're in the game, they feel like they've done this before. They've seen it off the bat many, many times, so they're ready for it.
Yeah, there's an unreal level of respect from myself to anybody that can do that, and yeah, that's
same here. Yeah.
Yeah, I respect them too. I mean, I actually was a shortstop and an outfielder, but when you look at the pitcher, the first baseman, and third baseman, I have a utmost level of respect for what they got to be ready for.
And so, just kind of an overall thing is your career, and you've done a little bit of everything in the game of softball. You know, from being that college player to playing professionally and winning a couple championships as a professional as well. And now coaching. Is there any certain moment that you kind of look back and you just kind of, you know, just you like that special moment over the course of your life in the game of softball?
Yeah, there's a few actually. Always winning a championship is always the best feeling, you know. So playing in the professional league, I played on 2 championship teams, one for the Tampa Bay Fire Six and one for the New York New Jersey Juggernauts, and those definitely stood out to me because you get to share that moment and all your hard work and all your success comes down to it in the end, and you feel like you accomplished so much. So those 2 stand out, and then. You know, the other 2 would be when I coached at the junior college level. We won a national championship there, and I felt like it was just a different type of feeling versus being a coach versus being a player. Just because you were sitting back a little bit and seeing it from a different perspective and being involved in a different way. So that was a great memory as well. And then having worked at Wilson Sporting Goods for 5 years, I would say I was the national fast food fitness manager. So I did a lot of sport growth with them, and that was really neat. I got to meet a lot of high-level coaches across the country. You know, we did a lot of contract negotiations with big teams. You know, or Arizona State, Michigan, and UCLA. We did all kinds of stuff, and it was just really neat to be exposed to so many high-level coaches and kind of tap into their philosophies and their mindsets. And even the same thing at the professional level. You know, you're out there playing with players. You know, I'm from the Midwest and pretty much a small town, but I had the opportunity to play with athletes who played at UCLA and Arizona and been a part of, you know, the World Series championship teams, and just, you know, just to have that whole experience and all the people that I know from it. I mean, I would say that's been the greatest reward for me, is just the people in the game, the love of the game, and just sharing so much about the game. And our goal is always to grow the game and just to show our appreciation, you know, because I know that softball was a platform for me and really, really catapulted me and grew me throughout my life. And I've just always been rewarded by it. So it's one of those things that I'll always be loyal to it, always be thankful, and I'm just so passionate about it, you know.
That's awesome. Well, I think I think that's just about everything. I do have one more question for you. Which you mentioned that you've kind of turned into the middle school teacher. So which one have you found tougher so far? Is the eighth grade teacher a little bit more difficult than coaching 20 some odd girls on a softball field, or which one takes the cake there?
Oh no, coaching's harder because my son, I can actually, he's one person, you can control him. He's younger than me, so I get to tell him what to do as the parent. And with the collegiate players, there's so many different personalities and, there's just a lot to manage. And so for us, we know at that level, a lot of the players, they've been playing this game all their life. And they come here and they want to be great, but yet they all have to work together to do it. And sometimes that's not the easiest thing. So, trying to build a culture and cultivate a chemistry that helps us win on the field has definitely been more challenging. But it's all fun, and it's the process. So you have to, you look at it and you say, okay, well, I'm gonna take the bull by the horns, because that's what you do as a coach. And you're like, I want to make this be the best culture, the best, teamwork, the most successful team. Anything we can do on the field, we got to do it together. So, but you can't control everything. There's just so many moving parts, and like I said, it was unpredictable. Just like COVID-19 is unpredictable. We didn't see any of this coming. But when life throws you curveballs, you got to keep figuring out how to hit them. We just can't. That's the great thing about this sport is you don't quit, and you get back in the box and you get another shot. So we're just gonna keep going for it.
Well, I think that's everything we have for you. Really appreciate you coming on, and I know that I can definitely say, like I said, it was difficult to see the season cut short the way it was. I mean, your team you had going, they were really starting to hit their stride.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really proud of them. I'm excited to see what they're going to do next year. But I will say that they were really growing and coming to their own, and like you said, firing on all cylinders. So, we'll keep working, and we'll be ready to come back and just get after it when we get back.
Well, appreciate you coming on. I can't wait for us to all get back on campus for the team, for you all to get back out there on the diamond, and hopefully we can see in next season. It's a new year, and everything can get going that way as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys. I look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thank you, Coach. Well, I look forward to seeing you.
Venus Taylor, really great having her on. It was great talking with her, and really just everything that team and her staff and everybody's had to go through. Hearts go out to them, and hopefully that next season, like I said, they're firing on all cylinders. And Nick, we'll just skip over you. We said that you have a special guest there.
Yeah, for the past 2 weeks, he's made himself known in the show. This would be Chai, our little Jack Russell Chihuahua. He obviously wanted to be a part of Buccaneer Insider the past 2 weeks, so I'm making him a part of the show. Chai, say hi to everyone. And now you don't want to talk, figures.
It's okay. Well, I'm sure it's okay. You caught him a little bit in the interview with Venus. So he was making himself known. He was trying to get his question out there. I don't know if you heard him or not.
No, I don't think so. It was a good question, though. Runs in the blood.
Well, I think that's everything for this week. It was another fun week. It's great to see Chai. Everybody can finally put a face to that bark. And the two of you
Screenshot that. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Contest. All right. Well, again, special thanks to East Bay Deli for helping us out with all this. Big thanks to everybody that's come on so far, and big thanks to Fred Applin and Venus Taylor for coming on this week. For my partner, Nick Case, Chai, my name is Killian McClatchy. We'll see y'all next week on Buccaneer Insider.
Say bye. All right, fine.